Today we're talking about skilled trades. Now, a couple of years ago, CEO of Accumold, Roger Hargens, was on Bloomberg talking about what Accumold and DMACC are doing locally to get people into the skilled trades. That's actually, there's a journal article a couple days ago, I think last week, about organizations are creating their own pipelines. I'm back here in the back, just so you know. I'm going to do very little talking today. That's my goal. I'm just wanting to spear things off. Of course, over here, we have Mark. And over here, we have Stuart. For those listening later, we have a live stream camera, but we also have two better quality up-close recording cameras. So we'll be posting all that video later. Clips will go to YouTube and everything. So what we'll do to start off is, Mark, we'll start with you. If you could give a little introduction about yourself. Keep it very, very tight, and then we'll move over to Stuart.
All right. Well, I've been with DMACC for 36 years. I've taught in tool and die all that time. I'm chair of tool and die and advanced manufacturing. We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Yeah, and my name is Stuart Spencer. Been with Accumold just over 3 years now, and in the HR department and HR manager there, and I've been in HR functions for about 18 years of my career.
Excellent. I'm Justin Brady. I'm just going to be moderating today. I'm not an expert in this area at all. I'm just more the tech person. So I know you guys have a lot of questions and points to bring up, so I'll turn it over both to you and let you manage the room.
Well, Mark, do you want to start off by telling a little about DMACC?
Well, DMACC is our local community college. We have 13 sites. We serve 60,000 students. If you take about 20, it's just roughly 20,000 credit, 20,000 non-credit, and about 20,000 high school dual credit students. We have 220 programs. About 190 of those could be considered trade if you depending on your definition of what trade is.
Perfect. And I'll give a quick overview of Accumold, but Accumold, we're a plastic injection molding company in Ankeny, Iowa, a suburb of Des Moines here, and about 150 square foot facility. Currently right now about 340 employees and growing like crazy. And Accumold has a great partnership with DMACC. That's why we're here today. And really have a need and a growing need for skilled trades, and that's why the topic today. So maybe I'll kick it back over to Mark and maybe talk a little bit about the skilled trades and the challenges that you have maybe at DMACC getting the right students in.
I just heard yesterday that welding was already full, and that's I believe right at around 100 students is what I think that they serve each year, and they're full already. And I am struggling on the phone working a list of 25 or so, and that'll grow over the summer. But we hope to start in the fall with 24 students. But we really have to fight for those students. And we are developing relationships with high schools, personal relationships with high schools in whatever classes that relate at all to machining and engineering, that kind of thing, to get interested students in for one-on-one tours and hands-on project. And that we really hope will help us with our numbers as we go forward.
Perfect. Yeah, and I know we partnered together in a couple of different events too, trying to reach out to high schools and different areas to get students interested in tool and die specifically with you, and then also on the robotics side with some of your colleagues. Some of those skill gaps. What would you say is some of the things that DMACC does to help with some of those skill gaps? I know as Accumold, our partnership with you has been great just because of you kind of help fill those gaps. And Accumold will definitely not be the company we are today without DMACC and the skilled trades that you guys train those students.
Well, that relationship that we've had, that's been since 2012, and that's the number I always hear quoted, but I believe it's perhaps a little bit longer than that. We've had 90-some students through the Accumold Scholars Program that those students have their tuition paid, and then they have a commitment to work at Accumold for 1 year after that, and that would be year in. I'm sure you're going to explain that a little bit more later, but that is our major relationship. As a company or as a manufacturing company has problems with their workforce, if they need training, we have our industrial tech program has what's called micro certifications. You can come in and send them for one type of training. And just one class, 1 week, whatever, and you're out. You have multiple starts throughout each semester for that. That's competency-based education. Welding went to that as well, so you could come in and just take a certain type of welding. We broke our program up into smaller classes if you just want to learn lathes or mills or EDM machines. Everything is individualized, and you can come in. You could send students in for just those one classes. Those would be a semester long. We don't have the micro things, but they could start any semester and just take as a visitor and just take classes. We also ask customized training. I just finished a class at Accumold where we were doing some customized blueprint reading. We did blueprint reading for their quality lab.
Yeah, I know the students that went through that really appreciated it. So I appreciate that, Mark.
We used to do GD&T a long time ago. A lot of that, geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. So those are the ways that we are able to help manufacturing stay current with the training needs.
So, and I know there's a little bit of a stigma around trades too, where a lot of high schools and parents are trying to preach and teach the 4-year. Mark and I we had a conversation around this just the other day, where a 2-year degree is a great path to go to get the trades, to get cost wise, and then also just to learn the valuable skill set that they could keep on. But do you see that from your perspective, Mark, about the kind of the stigma around potentially trades and versus the 4-year degree?
Yes, I believe. I was going to look up the percentage of students who go to 4-year versus 2-year, and what that percentage is. I know that I've heard our president of DMACC, Rob Denson, talk about the 80% of the jobs that are out there, approximately 80% of the jobs that are out there, require a 2-year degree, not a 4-year degree. And I bet you the numbers are closer to 80% try to go to 4-year and not 2-year. And we are much quicker at getting those people out to the workforce and fill those jobs that are out there.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I do a lot of career fairs at high schools, and majority of the students I talk to say they're going the 4-year route, which nothing wrong with the 4-year degree. That's the way I went too. But skills trades are definitely a valuable education. We've had
a significant number of thof those 4-year education people come back and take tool and die or advanced man.
Yep, that's great. So kind of talking about a little bit of the economic and social impact for skills trades in particular. I know that a lot of these, the economic impact that a lot of these people that get skills trades go into healthcare, or maybe they're working at Accumold and helping make a medical device or parts of medical devices. Can you talk a little bit about maybe the impact that some of your students have had on the economic by the roles that they've taken, or from your perspective?
Well, I'm not sure how to answer that one.
Okay.
Our students, they 100% of our students, and we were one of the original programs back when DMACC started in 1966. We weren't in that original group, but we came along like a year later or two. And ever since then, we've had 100% placement, and we continue to do that. And they do make a difference out there. They work their way into management, and so that's always those entry positions, I think, are always available out there. But other than that, not sure how else to answer that.
You're good. Yeah, and I would second that. So we've once again, I think we're actually almost close to 100 people that we put through the tool and die program now.
That's amazing.
We've had a lot of people at Accumold specifically that we promoted up to leadership positions, and then we've had people that have stayed in as a machinist and absolutely want to stay there the rest of their lives and absolutely love what they do. So we're good with whatever avenue they go, but we've definitely promoted a lot of tool and die students in particular to leadership type positions.
Well, let's talk about what tool and die is a little bit, and perhaps this audience knows what tool makers are, what tool and die is, but we make machines. We design and build and repair machines that mass produce parts. That's the way I explain it to high school students. And this trade, you are very seldom doing the same thing over and over again. You've got design work to do. You have mechanic work to do. These machines need to be assembled. They need to be disassembled and cleaned and repaired. Normally, you cannot buy those parts. You have to make the parts. That's where your machining comes in. The engineering, if something broke, if something wore, maybe we can change the material, maybe we can change the design a little bit. You are constantly doing something different. And there's no stats on this that I know, but I believe this is one of the easier trades on your body that there is. We're at a computer one day, we're working at a machine the next day, and just something different every day.
and the demand keeps going up too with the onshoring and manufacturing coming back to the U.S.
I have talked to several different companies who I asked them point blank, have you had calls with companies interested in bringing work back? And every one of them has had that. So, and I think that started during COVID. It should have started during COVID if it didn't. But I believe that is a trend that we're seeing.
I would agree. Yeah, we could use 10 to 15 more scholars right now. So
there are several programs who could take every student we get. I've had a couple of calls lately where companies are going back to the apprenticeship or go back to training people that they have, and we can't supply all of the students or we can't supply all the graduates that are needed out there. And so the alternative will be training who you have. And like I say, we struggle to get students in. So one of the fixes to that would be companies sending people to us. And that was done that way 20, 30 years ago. Companies would do that from out of state. They'd send us students and then they would return back home. Our students, my graduating class, I was one of the few who stayed in Iowa. Everybody else left. Current graduates, we've had really good jobs down in Creston, 30, 40 miles away. We can't get them to go down there and interview. They want to stay at home. And that has been a huge change. And so we have people who come down and recruit from Minnesota and from Missouri. A company from Missouri right now has got a student in our program. And I had a call from Maine. That's as far away as I think I've ever had a call looking for people. I have one in New Jersey, and then this year was Maine.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about our scholarship program and kind of what entails with that. Kind of alluded to that earlier. But our scholarship program, so we partner with DMACC, and a student works part-time at Accumold and then goes through the 2-year program, either tool and die, robotics and automation. We have actually increased that into industrial maintenance as well currently. And once they graduate, they get a full-time job at Accumold and work for us. There is a year commitment with that, but a great career path and lots of potential development and good road for them for their career. Once again, we put about 100 people through that program. And another kind of cool program we partnered with DMACC with to kind of get all sides of the spectrum. We actually got a student learner program, which is a high school program for high school seniors and juniors to come work at a manufacturing facility. And since they're not 18, it is a safety sensitive function. They can work in about 80% of the time they have to be in the classroom, 20% of the time they can be in the safety sensitive function. So we're looking at both sides of the spectrum as far as the skilled trades to try to get people, encourage them to look at it. And we're trying to give a lot of different avenues for those students to join. One other caveat to our scholarship program, we just came up with an EOS bonus. So not only is a student going to get paid while they're working part-time, we're going to pay for their schooling, but we're also going to pay for them while they're going to school. And as long as their grades are above a 2.0, we're going to pay them a bonus at the end of the semester, which has been a great. We've actually added a couple additional students just because of that program this last year, which has been great.
That money they don't have to pay back. If they leave the program early, they have to reimburse for the tuition.
Correct.
But that other money they can keep.
Yeah, so that year commitment, if they leave early, they would have to pay back the tuition. But the EOS bonus, they would not. That's their money. They can keep it. So it's pretty cool program.
And if they did qualify for FAFSA money, that would return to them too.
Right.
Because that goes into their account at DMACC, and then once Accumold pays for their tuition, then that money rolls back to them. And so that can help those students a lot.
There's a lot of funding out there. I know. Accumold specifically, we would, we're always looking for more scholars to give scholarships out to. So, and I know that there's state money and federal money that's always out there for those students as well. Maybe talk about some of the education a little bit more in depth about what you get, what specifically the tool and die. What you do for your students?
Well, it's a 2-year program, and we do go summers. I've had students who I just assume they know that, but it turns out they didn't, and so they expect to have summer off, but they didn't get it. We go 3 semesters a year. There's 10 weeks off throughout the year, right? Not 10 weeks at once, but 10 weeks throughout the year between semesters, called semester breaks. which is a really good time for them to go work somewhere during that time. Part-time would really help our students, so we'll maybe come back to that a little bit later. But if you can get a student to come into your facility, they're highly likely to return to that once they graduate. But it's a 2-year program. We do go 3 semesters a year. The first year is machinist. It used to be called job shop machinist. It's now machinist tech. That is a diploma. That is learning how to run most of the equipment there. That's CNCs, grinding, mills and lathes. There's basic and advanced courses in mills and lathes. That's where we spend most of the time. And then CNCs and grindings in the summer. They build some really nice projects throughout that time. They build on them as they go through. So there's several $1,000s of tools that they're making themselves that they get to use in their career. And I see those when students come back, or I go out on field trips. I'll see those students using those tools, and that's kind of nice to see. We do not make scrap. We don't make things that we're just going to practice on this and then throw it away. We are making things that they will actually use. We use real tool steels, so they're working on material that they will actually use in their careers. So after that first year of the program, then they go into the second year of the program, which would be die making and mold making. So they're actually building tools, and they take those machining skills, and then they are working in teams on some projects and individually on other projects, but they are actually making tools, and those are not kept. Those, well, they can keep them, but they don't make anything special. Those are just dies. They have to make them, make the right parts, and work on them until they do, and then they pass. EDM is included. We have conventional and a wire EDM. That's part of the second year program. CAD, computer-aided design. They design their own die. They design their own mold. So they're pretty efficient at designing things when they get out. They get a lot of time. They learned how to run the CNCs in the first year of the program, but the second year of the program, they use those all year long as they want to make their projects. And that's where they really get good at setting up and getting those tools set right and in the right holders, and where they really become comfortable running the CNCs.
Yeah, and I would echo you on the part-time side. So our part-time scholars that are working part-time at Accumold while going to DMACC, the benefit for them that they have is they're working hand in hand with somebody that's been doing it for 30 years, and just the knowledge that they get to bounce ideas off of. And I know we've had some scholars in the past that have went back and said, "Oh wow, I just learned that today in school," and which is kind of a cool thing. So that's. And I also heard so the Bureau of Labor Statistics said that in the Midwest, projected skilled trade is going to grow in a significant way, where more and more businesses are going to need more of those skilled trade type jobs.
If we're going to bring manufacturing back to the United States, you have to have tool makers, either at those facilities or at support facilities, smaller companies who are supporting those. And so that is just a given.
I'll talk a little bit about the robotics and automation side. I know that's not your expertise, Mark, but so we also, robotics and automation are a big part. I think especially they're going to be a big part in the U.S. To try to keep that competitive advantage when they're dealing with, the world. Yeah. And the U.S. labor market versus the world's labor market is a little higher than most. But so as far as Accumold specifically, we have a really robust automation team. That we build our own custom automation from the ground up, and we have people that maintain it. We have people that build it, and so another skilled trade that is becoming more and more a need in the market and the industry.
Yeah, that is a 2-year program as well, and the first year of that is electronics, and then they get into their automation side of that for the second year of the program, and as you walk through and man, if you can get to Accumold and tour that the automation there, how clean it is, just that site is a really special site.
Yeah, no, thanks for saying that. Appreciate it. So, what do you see? Where do you see majority of your students getting jobs? Are they staying here locally, or are they staying in Des Moines Metro?
They are absolutely. Coline is in Sully. I'm pretty sure about that. 30 miles, 35, 40 miles away. And they have a hard time getting people down there. They too are a nice manufacturing facility. It's a lot like Vermeer, and where it was started by one person, then just grew into quite a large company. They're very die focused. We have a student working there now. He's going to work there full time and when he graduates. But it's hard to get people to move that far away, and that's not that far away. You could live halfway there, and you'd be 15 minutes from Des Moines, 15 minutes to work. It's not that bad. But trying to get them to leave is difficult. They want to stay at home.
And the other thing I'll mention about trades too is the high earning potential. There's definitely a good career path as far as monetarily. Not only it is very rewarding as well because you're making things and creating things with your hands, but it's also very rewarding as far as monetarily as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I should mention DZ too. They're a big hire of our people as well. But otherwise, they just find places. There's a lot of our students go back home. There might be somebody who is in a small town 30, 40 miles away, and they know where they work. They're going to go back home and work when they're done. And so those kind of get lost. But we have those large companies here that hire most of our students.
So what would you say is the biggest challenging for you to get those students in the door? Where is from your seat, from when you're out there trying to get more skills trades students in the door? What's the biggest challenge for you?
Well, welding's full, and so it's either that they don't know what tool and die is, or they're intimidated by all the machines, all the different types of machines that you have to run, or that you will learn to run, and that happens really quickly, or they think maybe they have to know something to get in there. My office is in the lab, and I walk down the hallway to the classroom, and sometimes there's tours coming through, and they have volunteer liberal arts students who lead those, and I've heard them stand at our windows. We have a long hallway that with full of windows that you can look in the lab, and I've heard those leaders say, "There's a lot of math in there," and then they move on, and I'll stop them and see if there's any questions, but there's people don't know what tool and die is, or there's a misperception about what it is. It's not, you don't have to know something to get in there. We start with the day one, ground level, everybody the same, right? You don't have to have been around this stuff before.
I'll also mention, as far as our shop specifically, it's one of the cleaner shops around, and I know our tool makers specifically come in and they can go home and go out on a date with their wife or take the family out
in the same clothes.
The same clothes, because it's climate control and really they work in a clean environment versus some of those other maybe are not so clean.
Yeah, molds inherently are clean, as well as at least cleaner than large dies. But that has to do with the size of your workpieces too.
I want to take a quick pause. First of all, leave a comment to make sure we did have one of our main cameras just go down, so we have a backup camera on. So the audio and the camera feed are coming through different channels. So it looks like the feed is fine. Looks like everybody can hear it, but just let us know. But I do want to take a quick pause because Scott Peters asked a question on LinkedIn, and he says, with so many open positions, what are we doing to attract young people into the skilled manufacturing trades? We're going to tackle Scott's question, but then I want to go back to you guys with your additional prep material here.
All right. Well,
go ahead.
2-3 years ago, we used let's go back to COVID, pre-COVID. The college would organize people. They would have large groups come in. They would work with high schools. We'd have fifth graders come in. We'd have high school students come in. They'd come in large groups, and they'd tour through the lab, and maybe one student was interested, and the rest of them are on their phones or whatever. And so, but at least a lot of people saw it. And then COVID, that stopped. And after COVID, the college changed, at least my perception is the college changed how they were recruiting. And we no longer had those. The recruiting days we were sent over to our large conference area where each program got to set up a table if they wanted to participate. And that doesn't work for us. And then our numbers began to fall. And so we had our own manufacturing days. We had one in the spring and one in the fall. And we had 100 or so at the first one, 130 at the second one. And they were supposed to be interested students from METAL or CAD programs at their high schools. But we had the same thing. When those groups of 15 or 20 went through, we'd have to divide them up into smaller groups. They weren't interested. There was a couple who would ask good questions, but the rest of them, these were a lot of work to put on. We had food, we had I had volunteers I had recent graduates come back and lead the tours. We had the mold machine going, the progressive dies going, the EDMs were going. These were big events and took a lot to do, and students were just filing through. So that didn't work. And we got, out of those 200 students that went through, I have one that said that she went through those programs, or that went through those 2 events or one of those events, and then signed up for the program, but she was already going to sign up for the program. So what I went to now is we are contacting high schools individually and asking them to bring in interested students, parties of 4 or 5 or a maximum of 12. And then we have lunch, and we have lunch with them. They spend 3 or 4 hours with our students. And then in the meantime, they are working through, we have a process where they end up with a little baby brass hammer, we call it, but they are machining on that, and then we assemble that while they're there. So they're running a CNC, and they're running a lathe, and they're running a mill, all those things to as they're making this part. And that has started slow. I've had this year is the first year we tried it. We've had one program, Greene County. I used to be Jefferson. That instructor, Matthew's his first name. Not sure. Can't think of his last name right now. But he brought a group in, and I really hope that is the future, because I'm going to continue that path, because I believe that is the right way to do this. But I'm going to know I'm going to have a contact in every one of the high schools that's in driving distance of our school.
That's a great question. As far as the industry side, we're doing everything possible that we can do to try to interest or get the interest of the students. We give countless tours to students through our facility. We also get out to the teachers, superintendents, guidance counselors, and we have a scholarship meeting every year that we try to bring in not only the students but then the parents with the students. So then we can get the parents really excited about the trades, and then really drum up the interest there as well, and really show the parents. I think if you can get through to the parents and show them how awesome and what the great career path and trajectory for those potential students are, that's a big win. And we've had a lot of success with that. Actually, Mark's come over to Accumold, as well as several other DMACC folks. We've actually been lucky to have Rob Denson come and say a few words as well. And it really helps kind of beef up the interest of Accumold. And we also do, open meetings up to guidance counselors once in a while. We'll have them come in and give them tours and lunches. So we try to do all avenues that we possibly can as far as the industry side to help out DMACC to get their classes full. Because really, without the tool and die side and the trades, Accumold definitely would not be the company we are today, and definitely don't want to see that go away. So we're going to keep doing everything we can to help kind of help them out.
Yeah.
Really quick interjection here. We do have a few follow-ups. It's a two-parter. Do your students apply for scholarships to support their tuition? And we'll get to that. Well, we'll tackle that one first. So do your students apply for scholarships to support their tuition?
Yes. DMACC Foundation has scholarships. Accumold has scholarships. DZ will help with, they will help with tuition. Conductix is another company that will help. There are several. We had a student who was going to, I believe, work at Accumold and was going to become a scholar, and he went back and told his boss he quit, and this boss wanted to know why. And he says, well, Accumold is going to pay for my scholarship or my tuition, and the student or that boss says, well, I'll pay for it. So I think there is more help out there for these students. But yes, they do.
Is the Last Dollar Scholar still around?
Yes, it is.
Another opportunity.
And for both of these programs, at least my programs and many of the programs at DMACC, that is.
Yeah. So, and then as far as specifically the Accumold scholarship, we'll pay for all the core classes for that, the tool and die or robotics and automation. And then once again, we just added the industrial maintenance side.
Appreciate your questions. Anybody watching right now, feel free to leave any more comments. If you leave a comment, that comes up as a question and we can answer it. Why don't we continue back to your notes, and then I have a few additional questions as well.
Well, we talked about tool and die. I'd like to talk about Advanced Man a little bit. That's another program that we have that was created 10 years ago or so. That is intended for the welding program. A welding student who that program is a year long. Now it's self-paced. It's competency-based, so you can work through at your own pace. But it's basically a year long. It is I believe, still a diploma program. The Advanced Man program is a degree, and so they were looking for something for those welding students to do to challenge them a little bit farther. So we added machining into that, and so those students those graduates should be able to do a variety of things. They have their welding skills. They have had CNC. They've had all the blueprint reading, the measurements, and the machining. Their machining is slightly different. It's more towards maintenance machining, where they have to repair threads. We simulate a shaft that's had a worn bearing on it, and they have to weld that up and then turn it back down. So it's a little bit different machining, but those students could fit into a lot of different areas, and those guys are finding their way into smaller shops right around here.
And we look at those students as more of our industrial maintenance side of the world, fixing on our presses and keeping our building running and keeping it up and going. Yep, it's also a very good coursework and once again, great trade school to go to.
One of the questions here is other manufacturers throughout the country. How can they, because they're obviously struggling with the same issues, and this is a national problem. So they are sitting in this room right now, what direction would you push them? How could you coach them or consult with them to say, here's how you can replicate this locally in your city or your state?
That's a great question. For my 2 cents, I would say partner with your 2-year degree schools. So I know I got Mark in the room, but there's other schools around the area within 2-hour driving distance of Des Moines that we connect with as well. And we go out and talk to those students. And I would just get out and talk to as many people as you can as far as the trades. If that's high schools, encouraging students to look at your manufacturing facility and what you do locally there. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to get people or kids that don't know what tool and die is to get really excited about it. So it's a lot of work. We call it at Accumold. We like to plant a lot of seeds. And we like to water the heck out of them and see if they grow, and see if we can get those students to come on board our company. So it's a challenge, but we're up for it every day. And once again, good partnership with DMACC. If you can find a 2-year school program that has a good tool and die, robotics and automation, or industrial maintenance program, definitely do it. I would reach out today and reach out to those folks and try to make those connections.
Well, I think two-part thing. Those companies, I know in the Quad Cities, I was in a meeting 15 years ago or so, and we were talking. The subject of recruiting came up, and the instructors there, the programs there, said the companies recruit. We don't recruit, and other than Accumold, we don't get a lot of help. Now I get support when I have activities. DZ and other companies will send people and help me with that. But if every company or if every company went to schools and were recruiting, when I go to a school, I'm selling something. I'm trying to get them to come to my college. If a company goes out and can show them what their careers could be like, what kind of lives they could have with these jobs, I think that's a better or easier sell. The other one would be, you've got good people. These companies have good people working for them, maybe in production or maybe in lower skilled jobs. Send them to school and then hire more of those ground level jobs. Promote from within or train from within. We have our credit students meet Monday through Thursday. Fridays are open for industry training, whether that's apprenticeship type. That's what that originally was set up for. Now that's where I go out to businesses and train, or there's companies talking about sending students in for customized training. That's the day that would happen. And I think any community college would work with you on, or work with those companies on something like that.
What?
Yeah, actually, what's really funny is Stuart just said great point, and Jimmy in the comments also said great point. So we appreciate all the engagement there. Feel free to ask your questions. I think this goes on to, unless you guys have any other things to add, advice for educators is another question. Well, you mentioned, Mark, actually, Stuart, I think you mentioned we partnered with DMACC, and they've been a great partner. Of course, DMACC has tool and die. DMACC is heavy into advanced manufacturing. What about educators? What do educators go to local manufacturing plants? Do they go to manufacturing facilities, high-tech manufacturing, and say, we want to help you with your talent pipeline? What would the advice for educators be? Probably universities, community colleges, and maybe high schools too, because I know Accumold goes, you're recruiting into high schools these days.
Right. Yeah, I would. You want to take that, or you want me to take it
No,
first?
you go ahead.
All right. So I would say, as far as connecting with educators, we get a lot of educators in our building. We give a lot of tours. We do a lot of lunches with them. And actually, we got some great partnerships with local high schools and community colleges to help us get the talent that we need. So I think about Ankeny Orbis and Amy Steinhook over at Ankeny Orbis, comes to our facility regularly, as well as many other high schools. And we actually had a meeting, I think it was a year or two ago, with the superintendents, all the local superintendents that came and really helped us drum up interest to their guidance counselors and to other teachers. That really helped us kind of refoster some of the tuition there was a little bit of a lack of tuition or people interested in tool and die, and it really helped foster that. So we try to reach out to all avenues and without the support of the schools and encouraging those students to apply or look at Accumold or just go and tour to see what it's all about. I don't think we definitely not have the success we have today. A great question.
Yeah, my experience with schools is that they are very interested in doing they're looking for things for their kids to go do. Getting them there is another thing. But they're interested in the talk, and it just takes a while to get that stuff ironed out and get all the details worked out.
And that's actually really interesting that you say that, because there is that mentality out there. We got another question from Scott, and it's, do you find it difficult to overcome the high school counselor success equals college mentality? Is this I feel like it's not as much of a thing as it used to be, at least in my conversations with Gen Z and younger. They're kind of beyond that. But maybe we're wrong. Is this changing?
Mike Rowe will tell you that it is beginning to change, and what I've seen pre-COVID, we were bringing in like 60, 80 counselors, large groups of counselors, and then they were touring the program. So we got like 20 minutes with them. So they'd tour, and then I get to talk to them in the classroom a little bit, and they were shocked at what our students were making, what our graduates were making in the job placements. In the jobs, and when we have high schools come in, I almost always get the comment, maybe I should start over. I get those from the counselors and from the teachers and things like that, and so they don't know what's out there. So yes, we were making inroads into that, and then our format changed, and we don't get to do that, and we don't bring them into our programs anymore. We have to go talk to them, and so I think we're fighting back on that and getting back into our programs.
Yeah, from the industry standpoint, I think it's still there, but yeah, I think it is turning a little bit. It's gotten a little bit better, maybe, just from all the effort of all the meetings and just the conversations around trades and the valuable career path around trades. But it is still there. As we talk to students, there are I would more often than not they say 4-year degree route versus 2-year degree, or even going right into industry too, because we offer those opportunities as well.
Well, I think one of the stigmas that we fight, it was all of the shops are much cleaner than they used to be. They're just better lit. They're just a lot of improvements in the workplace. That's one. And safety has improved. All those things improve. But I think when we hear about layoffs, I think that scares people out of manufacturing. And production workers get laid off. Tool makers, your repair people, they don't get laid off. That's when you fix stuff, is when things slow down. There's dies that run almost all the time. That's when you work on that. That's when you build spare parts and that kind of thing. So that I think scares people away. I always make sure that I get that across to any visitors, that make sure you tell mom and dad that you don't get laid off in this position.
Also a good segue, and this will be my last question, and then I'll turn it over to both of you, Mark and Stuart, for final thoughts. And then after your final thoughts, I'll close it out. But what would be the advice for parents right now? Because, you just brought up that there's conversations to be had. So what would be the advice for parents?
My son went through tool and die, and he's happily employed right now. So, and was from day one. Is actually full time all the way through his training. And that back to Accumold a little bit. They have multiple schedules. They have a full time Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, and remember, I said my school is Monday through Thursday. Then they work full time Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's rough, but you have Monday through Thursday to do your homework, focus on school. Then you do 3/12s at Accumold, benefits, full time. I've had many family parents come through the program with on that system.
Yeah, I guess as far as the industry side and Accumold's stance, I would say parents, come out and check us out. Come check out Accumold. We always encourage, after you check out us, go talk to DMACC. Yeah. We're biased, but we think our facility is pretty cool. And what we do is, 70% of what we do is making small, teeny tiny parts that are going to medical devices. So helping somebody's life and get better, which is a pretty cool thing, and a lot of our employees really appreciate that. But come out and see our facility, open door. I'll get you my contact information if you're interested. We'd love to talk to you about an opportunity for your child, or even for yourself at Accumold. But yeah, I would come out and check it out. I really understand what those trades are that there's high needs for, especially locally here in Ankeny. And we'd love to talk to you.
And I will say, for those that don't, I know there are people listening who don't live in Iowa. So for parents living outside of the state that they want their sons or daughters to have a career in the skilled trades, probably not the time and place to go into this, but there's a ton of backstory about skilled trades are more stable, skilled trades pay more right out of the gate. There's a bunch of good reasons to go in the skilled trades. But what do parents do if they want to get in this pipeline? They want to get their sons or daughters into something stable, and they're not in Iowa. Do they go to manufacturers to get in that pipeline? Do they find community colleges? Where do they start?
You might start online. I know that in Iowa, if you want to be a HVAC person, there's schools for that, or we offer that. But you can also get it through you can go get a job and then work your way through an apprenticeship. I believe plumbing is like that. I think a lot of these trades you can get your schooling online and then work your way through. I of course believe community college is a better way, but there are other avenues. If you don't have a community college in your area, then I would look for those work as you learn or earn as you learn. Yep. Situations. Yeah,
and a lot of times too, if you start with the industry, you can look at community colleges, and community colleges might point you to the industry, or depending on where you're at, you can call some local businesses and say, "Hey, my son or daughter is interested in trades. What kind of opportunities might you have there?" And they might say, "Well, come on in here. We'll get you a tour." I know that's specifically what Accumold would do. If we have a high school student or somebody that's graduated that's interested in the trades, I would set them up for a tour, hopefully that next day, and get them in and really hopefully show them some interest in what we do. But yeah, community college, if you have it close to you, or I would reach out to different industries, depending on what you're interested in, and start the ball rolling, because you never know if that company potentially might pay for some of the schooling, or maybe pays for all of it, where there might be a benefit for you to reach out.
I'll turn it back over to you both. Obviously, everybody appreciates your time. I'm Justin with Accumold Communications. I'm way in the back here for those that can't see. The reason I hid myself behind all these things is because I'm not important in this conversation. We have Mark over here. We have Stuart over here. I'll turn it over to you. If you could, once again, for people just tuning in, remind them who you are. Give that like under 30-second backgrounder. Closing thoughts. We'll go whoever wants to go first, and then I'll close out the room. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Well, I'm Mark Rosenberry. I work at Des Moines Area Community College in Ankeny, Iowa. We have 13 sites around the central Iowa area, and I've been there 36 years, and I'm chair of Tool and Die and Advanced Manufacturing.
Yeah, and I'm Stuart Spencer, HR manager at Accumold in Ankeny, Iowa, and been with Accumold just over 3 years now. Been in the HR world for about 18. And I guess my ending thoughts here, we have a great scholarship opportunity at Accumold. If you're interested, please reach out. You can go to accu-mold.com, or our phone number is 515-964-5741. I'd love you to reach out. And then also, skilled trades are not going away. There's going to be more and more need of it in the future. That's why Mark and I are doing this today. We want to get the word out there. Please, if you're interested here locally, or even have a question and not locally, I would be happy to talk to you. And I know Mark would be too. So feel free to reach out.
And I wanted to say, I give you my contact information as well. We have an open door policy. I'd love to have you come in and if you were interested at all, if you live close enough, come in and visit. You can visit with the students. You can if you have enough time, we'll get you pizza and we'll have lunch. You can talk to the students. I was going to say I had a fellow instructor who stumbled across this, but we had a number 3 in the nation ranking for our tool and die program, and don't ask me who that was, but that was pretty nice just to stumble across. And then if you want my contact information, my direct line is 964-6452, 515-964-6452.
And we'll make sure to post all that contact information on the LinkedIn page and on accu-mold.com. The full video will be available. Not the full video. LinkedIn caps us at 15 minutes for video uploads later. We will put a first 15-minute teaser up on LinkedIn. The full video will go at the website accu-mold.com. Again, that's accu, accu-mold.com. Is that it, or then any final thoughts, or are we ready to wrap things up today?
No final questions?
No final thoughts, no final questions. Yeah. There's just a bunch of people in the comments that are really arguing. No, just kidding. There's not. And we obviously appreciate everybody tuning in today. Thank you for joining us.